Hello everyone, welcome to Kellyn's Corner. I wanted to have a conversation with you today and learn you a little bit based on some research that I've done on voting. November is coming up and it is just a crazy year. Let's just get into it and hopefully, you learn something new, because I know I did. Might get a little ranty. I know that not everybody responds to that energy very well, so I'm going to try to keep it calm. Whew. You know, we've got a dark history in America with voting, whether it's gerrymandering and redlining and literacy tests and all these things to target Black and brown people. There's certain things that are still definitely lingering around today, and you know, we all know we just still have a very broken system. I wanted to share some facts and stats and stuff with you. Hopefully it lights a fire more than loses hope, because that is definitely not what I'm trying to do. I want you to get with it. I want you to vote. I want us to encourage each other, hold each other more accountable. And if we want social media to change, we can't just sit here and complain about what it's shallow and sad and different things. We need to be the change that we want to see. I'm doing this because of our lack of knowledge collectively and lack of involvement collectively. It is sad because 34% of Americans are consistent voters. That's how many percent of people of our country is consistently voting on all the elections. 34%. So let's just get into it. 1 in 6 people don't know if voting on election day is allowed. 1 in 5 residents don't know if people can vote without being registered before election day. 44% of people believe that they can early vote in a state without early voting. We know that a lot of people don't have a lot of information about how to get to voting and polling places and different things like that. But what we do know is that we do agree on some things that isn't happening for us. 61% agree on same-day registration, and 67% of Americans agree for auto registration at the DMV. Auto registration at the DMV is a great option because it would make it a lot more accurate, a lot more current, and easier to update. Why that is such a big deal is because of these things called purges. I don't know if you've ever heard of these, because I never heard of the fucking purges, and it is as dark and scary as the Purge movie. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of though. Purges are the removal of illegitimate or ineligible names from voter registration lists, okay? But very often they're done incorrectly, and they confuse and delay the whole process. There's constant investigations going on about these purges. Just to give you a little number, because I never heard this shit, between 2014 and 2016, the states removed 16 million voters from the rolls. In 4 years, they removed 16 million voters. Now, I know not all of those were errors, okay? And they increasingly has gotten more and more each year. In 4 states in the past 5 years, there have been illegal purges, 4 more with unlawful, and many of them are inaccurate. They don't have to report when it's flawed or mistaken, and Trump is reversing course for acts against inaccurate and overly broad purges. Not all states participate in some of these cross-checks that the voters use, but each state is different, and that's why it is so confusing. But there is unreliable and flawed data between almost all of them. So, automatic voter registration would be so much more accurate, and also early voting would be so much more accurate. How accurate, you say? Well, despite what Trump is saying, completely trying to defund the USPS right now, when we are in a pandemic, and the most important thing we have right now to vote from home is this early voting, where we can mail in when we can't leave. Think about how disgusting it is for in a time when we are in a pandemic and we have this voting option to mail in our vote when we are supposed to stay home. We are not supposed to gather together. Polling places are shutting down. People are on lockdown. So mail-in voting, early voting, should be for every state so that everybody can stay safe. And Trump is wanting to defund, oppose, and just like blasting fear into this for no reason. He is saying that there is voter fraud to be worried about when he is voter fraud. He has Russia involved. The popular vote didn't win with him. And early mail-in voting, you want to know the error rate margin is 0.000006, 0.000406. That's the error for mail-in voting. When Purges have so many errors, and we could solve a lot of that by auto-registration, but we don't, okay? But there's all these other errors in the system with the Electoral College and all this shit. Mail-in voting is one of our safest and reliable ways for voting. And especially in a time when you're not supposed to be going out and gathering, we need this the most. And he obviously knows this. He obviously feels threatened by it, so he's trying to defund it. It is just so clear. That isn't the part of the system that is flawed. Oh, and just side note, Trump is paying $20 million in voting lawsuits. I was trying not to get ranty, but it's just so clear. It's so clear how he feels under attack, so then he attacks what he's threatened by. Trump reversed the course for the act against inaccurate and overly broad purges. He is on the side of these people trying to enforce harsher purging and more overbroad. There's a lot of flawed data, there's a lot that's unreliable, but mail-in voting is not that, okay? So if I can encourage you, please, if there is a chance to vote on it, voting registration and mail-in voting for all states, it would be unbelievably more accurate. So I do want to get into how it is for registering and voting for different people. Black and Hispanic people are twice as likely to have barriers voting. They are 3 times more likely to be told that they lacked proper ID to vote, twice as likely to be incorrectly told that they weren't listed as a registered voter when they were, 3 times more likely to have trouble finding a polling place, and twice as likely to get time off for voting. 1 in 10 Hispanic people say they or somebody in their household tried to vote and were bothered at the polling places. 86% of Black people, 74% of Hispanic believe that the country is headed in a wrong direction. Only 27% of Americans say that eligible voters being denied the right to vote is a problem. And I don't know how to get people to care about other people. I know spiritually I could try to go into saying that, we are all one, but I can't get people to care. I can't get people to do action. I can just give this information, give my opinion and what I care about. But just to hear this, I just want to dig up this information because it is a reality. This shit isn't just in the past. And it's it's under attack right now. In 2016, North Carolina's voting laws target African Americans, and I quote, with surgical precision. That's 4 years ago, last election. Okay, surgical precision. This shit isn't just in the past. Okay, that is my main message. So that leads me to my next thing there is a huge amount of people not being able to vote. Whether it's voting or incarceration, Black people are targeted and laws are created specifically to discriminate against them. With our laws that people who've been in jail can't vote. I will be doing another video on discrimination in our prison system. I think that the people being affected by the system the most should have a say in that decision. And actually most Americans agree. 7 in 10 Americans agree that once your sentence is done, that you should be allowed to vote. people use drugs the exact same amount, but black drug users are 7 times more likely to risk incarceration. They are so much more of the prison population when they are only 13% of the American population. There are huge discriminatory issues in so many aspects of our system. Most of us agree that once you do your time, you should be able to make decisions. But 6.1 million voters are disenfranchised due to past felony convictions. 6 million voters can't vote based on their past of something that they've already done their time for. 1 in 13 black Americans don't have the right to vote. And that is 4 times more likely than any other voter. Black people are 38% of the Americans stripped of their voting rights. 6 million people are disenfranchised. So please, you've got your right to vote. Be thankful for it and use it. So hopefully you learned a little something and you can share this, and in general, just share good information that is bettering our community. Make your online environment a better place to be. And we are all influencers. We are all powerful. We have so much that we take for granted. So please make sure you're registered to vote. And if you're wondering on my resources, I use brennancenter.org, PRRI.org, which is the Public Religion Research Institute, which has a lot of awesome data, Vera.com, the Institute of Justice, and The Atlantic. Progress is progress is progress. So I love you, you're powerful, I believe in you, your voice matters. Please say it with me, my voice matters. And Black Lives Matter.